This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news.
As the temperature on our planet accelerates, scientists and policymakers are exploring innovative ways to combat its effects. One of the more controversial proposals is solar geoengineering, a set of technologies aimed at reflecting sunlight back into space to cool the planet. While these methods may sound promising, they come with significant risks and uncertainties that warrant careful consideration.
In December of 2024, the European Commission's scientific advisors urged Europe to ban untested geoengineering technologies, warning these tools could disrupt weather systems and create more problems than they solve. While they acknowledge these technologies hold some potential, they emphasize the uncertainty of their risks and benefits. Solar geoengineering is a set of experimental ideas aimed at reflecting a small portion of the sun's rays back into space to cool the planet and counteract the effects of what some call climate change. The idea isn't to replace efforts to reduce carbon emissions, but to act as a temporary tool to buy time while we transition to cleaner energy and adapt to a warming world. Most of these technologies are still in the research phase, but some see it as a potential emergency option to manage extreme climate risks. Billionaire Bill Gates is just one person funding solar geoengineering research. His attempts to, quote, black out the sun involve spraying chemicals into the air to diffuse the sun's rays and potentially cool the planet. Some call this process stratospheric aerosol injection. Others call it chemtrails. Either way, it's highly controversial.
Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth. Back in 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines. It was the largest eruption to affect a densely populated area, creating avalanches and giant mud flows that left more than 700 dead and 30,000 homeless. It also spewed a cloud of 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide particles into the stratosphere. That chemical cloud was hundreds of miles across and reflected about 2% of sunlight back to space. And in 1992, the Earth was cooler than in 1991.
That is part of the mechanism, but you do this in a controlled way.
Modeling studies have found that it could reduce the intensity of heat waves, for instance. Apparently it could reduce the rate of sea level rise. It could reduce the intensity of tropical storms.
Space-based reflectors are another solar geoengineering proposal that involves placing mirrors or reflective materials into orbit in space to deflect a small portion of the sun's rays away from Earth. The price of deploying space-based reflectors would likely be extreme due to the complexity and scale of the project. Estimates vary, but launching large-scale reflective materials in orbit could cost billions of dollars. Then there's marine cloud brightening, an idea that claims to reflect more sunlight away from Earth by enhancing the brightness of clouds over the ocean. It's currently being researched by several academic institutions, research groups, and organizations.
Could brighter clouds help fight global warming? That's what researchers are trying to find out. By spraying a fine mist of salt aerosols into the atmosphere, they predict clouds will be more reflective. This, they say, will mean the sun's rays will be partially blocked, the heat will be sent back to space, and the planet will be cooled. Scientists are testing the process to see if it works and what the consequences might be. They say they are replicating ship tracks, these long lines of clouds made from ship pollution. There are actually fewer of these now because of regulations in the shipping industry. But ironically, it turns out that by not having these more reflective clouds, global warming might be accelerated.
Solar geoengineering might sound like a cool, high-tech solution to combat the planet's rising temperature, but it comes with some serious risks and uncertainties. For one, we don't fully understand how altering the planet's energy balance might affect weather patterns, ecosystems, or the global climate system as a whole. Even small changes in solar radiation could lead to unintended consequences, like disrupting rainfall patterns, causing droughts, or even affecting food production in certain regions. Because these methods, like stratospheric aerosol injection, space-based reflectors, or marine cloud brightening, would affect the entire planet, there's a lot of concern about the potential for unintended side effects doing more harm than good. Another issue is the ethical and political challenges that come with solar geoengineering. Who gets to decide if and when we start experimenting with these methods? Since the effects could be felt globally, it's a huge concern whether one country or group of people should have the power to make decisions that impact everyone. Plus, these technologies might be seen as a way to delay necessary actions like cutting carbon emissions, which some believe to be the root cause of climate change.
In the climate space, there is more and more talk about the use of geoengineering as a way for us to manage climate change impacts. Not just solar geoengineering, which is this idea of blocking out or dimming out the sun, but there are other forms of so-called climate intervention techniques. We have to be very, very careful when we're talking about geoengineering and the governance, or lack of governance, I should say, in the international system. We are all watching in real time how the international system is failing the people of Gaza. And weeks have gone by since the International Court of Justice has issued a court order requiring Israel to take steps to prevent genocide, which is incidentally an obligation not just on Israel, but on every state. I think it's candidly fantastical to think that this international system, which is failing people today, has any capacity or has the right tools to implement safely climate interventions and geoengineering. The same international system that is struggling to enforce the Genocide Convention, which is decades old, similarly going to struggle when it comes to protecting vulnerable and marginalized peoples from the side effects or the consequences or the impacts, intended or unintended, of geoengineering and other types of climate intervention. But these solutions are just too dangerous to implement without much needed reform of the international system to protect human rights and to enforce international law, as well as a real commitment from wealthy governments to get off of fossil fuels immediately.
The potential dangers of solar geoengineering are too big to overlook. As we keep exploring it, it's crucial to have strong international discussions, considering the ethical impacts, and do thorough research before moving forward. The stakes are just too high to take chances with the future of our planet.
The 37th International Kite Festival in Fuerteventura, Spain, captivated audiences with 2 nighttime drone shows. UNN Field Messenger Emma shares the wonder and creativity of this event.
Hi, this is Emma, Field Messenger for UNN, reporting from Fuerteventura, Spain in Europe. During the 37th International Kite Festival in Coralejo, Fuerteventura, they arranged 2 amazing nighttime drone shows. The shows were on the beaches of Coralejo at night, and lots of people were gathered to see the drone light show. The drones were placed in a harbor area across from the beaches, and it was a very good solution. It was an amazing view. There was a crew on the beach that announced the show and operated the music during the drone light show. And in total it was 220 drones in action. They were operating together in an amazing way. I have never seen anything like it. The first day had an ocean theme with fishes and different water creatures. They were created with amazing colors, with all the drones flying together in the sky. The second day, the theme was fantasy, and drones were displaying different figures from movies and cartoons. And we saw unicorns, we saw flying fairies, we saw Disney castle, pirate ship, and a scary skull. And other things. And at the end of the show, the drones formed the Canarian flag and the text Coralejo underneath it. And after that, all the drones form a text saying, "We are all with Valencia, Spain." This was a reminder of the flood that took more than 200 lives in October 2024. The whole country was in 3 days of mourning. So this is something that has not happened that flooding hasn't happened in 28 years, I think. So it was a really amazing show, and I hope you liked the report, and thank you for watching.
When it comes to fresh, frozen, or canned food, each option has its own perks and quirks. Fresh produce often feels like the best choice, but it isn't always convenient or affordable. On the other hand, frozen or canned foods last way longer, but they can lose out on nutrition and flavor. So what option is best and when?
We all think fresh fruits and veggies are the best, right? But here's something to consider. Those fresh ones at the grocery store have probably traveled many miles to get there. By the time they're picked, packed, and shipped, which can take days, they've already lost some nutrients. That's why shopping locally is such a great option. When you shop at your local farmer's market, chances are the zucchini or lettuce was probably picked that morning or perhaps yesterday. It's fresher, tastier, and sometimes even cheaper than what you'd grab at the supermarket. Frozen and canned fruits and vegetables may not have the same fresh taste as their seasonal counterparts, but they offer convenience and sometimes even save you money. Both options pack nutrients, but how they're processed and stored can make a difference.
One of the most common questions my clients ask is if they should buy canned food or frozen. Well, it depends on what's inside the package. For vegetables like leafy greens, artichokes, onions, broccoli, cauliflower, or asparagus, I suggest buying frozen if you can't get fresh. That's because frozen veggies are harvested when they're at their ripest and frozen to lock in flavor. And most food companies don't add dangerous preservatives, sugar, or tons of salt to frozen veggies. Of course, there is one time I suggest canned instead of frozen, and that's beans. Most beans are loaded with digestion-destroying lectins, but if you can find pressure-cooked beans in BPA-free packaging, they're likely to be relatively easy on your system and okay to eat in moderation. So the takeaway, if you can't get fresh veggies, get frozen. And when it comes to beans, get pressure-cooked cans.
So fruits and veggies are frozen right after they're picked, locking in all those nutrients. Frozen produce can sometimes even be healthier than fresh stuff that's been sitting around for days. For example, studies show frozen corn, blueberries, and green beans might actually have more vitamin C than their fresh versions. If you store frozen fruits and veggies at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, which is equal to negative 18 degrees Celsius or lower, experts say they're good to eat for 8 to 12 months, though the quality may decline over time. For the best taste and nutrition, try to use them within 3 to 6 months. Frozen produce is often just as affordable as fresh, especially if you buy in bulk. Plus, it's super convenient. They're already washed, chopped, and ready to go. Stocking up on frozen fruits and veggies is a simple way to save time, stick to your budget, and still prepare healthy, delicious meals.
Believe it or not, frozen vegetables are just as healthy as their fresh counterparts, thanks to flash freezing, modern food technology. And when farmers are growing produce, they know our vegetables are going to freeze. They flash freeze, and one thing flash freezing does, it locks the nutritional value in. Bam, locks it in. Whereas, when you pick produce, the second you pick it, its nutrient value immediately begins to diminish. So that's one reason that frozen produce can sometimes have a higher nutrient content than fresh. The second reason is that when growers know they're going to flash freeze, they can allow that produce to go to peak ripeness. In the last week of ripening, you'd be surprised how the value of phytochemicals and some of the other nutrients really does significantly increase. Whereas produce is going to be distributed and sold fresh, sometimes has to be picked like 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before peak ripeness because it has to be shipped halfway around the world. So feel great about fresh. Feel just as good about frozen. Sometimes frozen could be more convenient because it doesn't go bad either. It sits in the freezer.
On the other hand, canned foods are a budget-friendly way to increase your fruit and veggie intake, but they do have some downsides. The canning process involves partially cooking the produce at high temperatures to kill bacteria, which can reduce some nutrients like vitamin C. To minimize nutrient loss, experts suggest adding canned produce later in the cooking process. Be mindful of added sugar and salt in some canned products, as their high contents can lead to health problems. Look for options labeled no added salt, salt reduced, or fruits packed in juice rather than syrup. Drain and rinse canned fruit and veggies before using them to reduce excess salt or sugar. Canned food involves more than just its nutritional value. Packaging materials like aluminum and tin raise health concerns. Expiration dates help limit tin transfer, as high levels can cause irritation, inflammation, or neurological issues. Once opened, air exposure can speed up corrosion, releasing more tin. To stay safe, eat canned food before it expires and transfer leftovers to another container after opening.
When it comes to canned foods, it's essential to be informed about potential risks. Among the top 5 toxic chemicals found in canned foods is bisphenol A, BPA, a harmful substance that can leach into the food and cause health issues. Another concerning chemical in canned foods is phthalates, which are known to disrupt hormones and have been linked to various health problems. In addition, canned foods may contain perfluorooctanoic acid, PFOA, a toxic chemical that has raised concerns due to its potential health risks and environmental impact. Monosodium glutamate, MSG, is another common chemical found in canned foods that can cause adverse reactions in some individuals, leading to health problems.
At the end of the day, fresh, frozen, and canned foods all have their place in a healthy diet. It's all about finding what works best for your lifestyle, budget, and taste buds. Mix it up and enjoy the convenience and variety they each bring to your meals.
Did you know that experiencing increased allergies, fatigue, and illness could indicate mold in your home? UNN Field Messenger Helen shows us how to make our homes mold-free naturally.
Hello, beautiful beings. This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature for United Network News, and we are going to look at mold. Now, if you have someone come out and test with their equipment that detects mold, you'll find there's heaps of mold in the garden, and that's just normal. The issue is when you've got a way the water can get into the house. There were some telltale signs of black speckled mold on the plaster, and when we took it off they had to keep stripping it higher and higher to discover the water leak is from a valley in the roof where it meets. There's a gutter, bit of gutter sticking out, all the branches collect, the water builds up behind that and it's leaking in there. From my research, I found this collection of oils, thyme, sage, oregano, clove, tea tree and rosemary, to be a powerful collection that kill all kinds of molds because there are different types. It kills the spores and the aflatoxins. So once all those different oils and the straight white vinegar is in the diffusers, I am closing off the space that has the mold and fogging. I've fogged a lot repeatedly, and I also use the same mixture in a spray bottle, and I physically spray the timbers. The key thing is make sure there's no water sources. So I will never be complacent with emptying the gutters or checking the roof, and just keep an eye. If there's any moisture coming from your tap fittings under the sink, sort it out immediately, because you don't want bigger issues. Mold is a big impact on our health. So may you be healthy and mold free. Bye.
Every child has the right to quality education, but high school fees are holding many kids in Africa back. Families often can't afford tuition, uniforms, or materials, leaving many children with no choice but to drop out or miss out on school entirely. Without access to education, the cycle of poverty continues, cutting off opportunities for a brighter future. In the 1990s and early 2000s, many African countries removed primary school fees, leading to a big increase in enrollment. However, secondary school enrollment remains low compared to other regions. Statistics show in sub-Saharan Africa, less than half of children make it through lower secondary school compared to about 80% in South Asia and Latin America. High fees and extra costs are one of the biggest barriers, especially for children from low-income families. In the past 20 years, more sub-Saharan African countries have introduced free secondary education. Today, nearly half of these countries provide free education at the lower secondary level, and about 1 in 3 does so at the upper secondary level. These policies aim to improve education levels and, in the long run, boost overall prosperity and social well-being.
So here are the 10 African countries that offer free senior high school education. The first country we'll be looking at is Kenya. Kenya introduced free upper secondary education in 2008. The second country we'll be talking about, surprisingly, is Rwanda. In 2008, Rwanda introduced free secondary school education. The third country is the Gambia. Gambia introduced free education in stages. Free primary education in 2013, free lower secondary education in 2014, and free upper secondary education in 2015. The fourth school is Namibia. In all government schools in Namibia, and secondary education has also been free since 2016. The fifth school is Tanzania. In 2016, the government introduced the free education policy for both primary and secondary school.
Abolishing secondary school fees in low-income countries faces some major challenges. Many children from poor households don't qualify for free secondary education because they don't complete primary school. In countries like Somalia, Niger, and Mozambique, fewer than 20% of the poorest children finish primary school. Even if secondary school is free, families often can't afford additional costs like textbooks, uniforms, meals, and transport. In Uganda, school attendance dropped from 68% in grade school to 22% in secondary school, largely due to financial struggles. That's according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Government-funded schools charge up to $700 per term, a huge cost in a country with a per capita GDP of $864 in 2023. Many schools are also in poor condition, discouraging attendance.
Every child has a dream, whether it's becoming a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or an artist. But in the East African country of Uganda, these dreams are starting to feel out of reach. With each new school term, the cost of a better chance at life is rising. Parents are struggling to pay unpredictable and unregulated school fees, and the constant threats from schools demanding dues are becoming harder to ignore.
We are really suffering. The schools are never patient with us. Even if you're left with a balance of 1,000 shillings out of 10,000 shillings, they will send your kid back home. They don't care. They will send the child back home until you clear their 1,000 shillings. All they care about is just their business. There is no help at all.
Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest rates of education exclusion among developing regions. More than 20% of primary-aged children and nearly 60% of youth 15 to 17 years old are not in school. In 2023, the World Bank found more than half of adults in sub-Saharan Africa say paying school fees is a bigger priority than covering medical bills or other expenses. In Nigeria, the cost of school keeps going up due to higher prices for materials and staff salaries, but family incomes just aren't keeping up. This leaves many parents struggling to afford their kids' education. In some of Nigeria's poorest areas, non-governmental organizations are stepping in to help, offering creative solutions like alternative ways for parents to pay school fees.
For Nigeria's most disadvantaged communities, securing funds for school fees can be a daunting task. However, some parents are gathering plastic waste to finance their children's education. Fatimo Adeosun is committed to collecting as much plastic waste as she can in order to maintain her son in school. The reason I go about picking plastic waste to fund my child's education is because about 3 years ago, life was hard and my son left school. I found somewhere to do a menial job. One day, I saw people picking plastic. I approached the school and asked if I can pick it, and they converted it for my son's school fees, and I was given the go-ahead.
Education is key to breaking the cycle of poverty, but the high costs continue to hold many children back. To make real progress, governments, organizations, and communities must work together to remove barriers like fees and extra expenses. By investing in education, we invest in a better future for all.
The Senior Center in Denville, New Jersey is a lively space for friendship, games, outings, and community. UNN Field Messenger Amy shares stories from members that highlight the importance of being active and engaged.
Hi, Field Messenger Amy reporting for UNN from Denville, New Jersey. In 1975, the Mayor and Council of Denville donated a small building to the senior citizens of Denville. This building was for their use only, to help senior citizens stay active and be amongst friends. Today, there are about 135 members.
So here I am with Grace, and she's the president of the entire senior citizen class. So she's going to tell us what goes on here.
So, hi everyone. What we do here is we have three groups of members, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And what we do is we all come together, we play games, we have snacks, we eat together. We do trips to plays, to baseball, to horse racing. There's a casino trip every second month. And we have overnight trips that we do. We go to Sight and Sound. They like the Jersey Dreamers, so we try to set something up at the Jersey Dreamers. Next year, we're doing a Kentucky Derby at the Doolins down in Spring Lake.
It's just one thing. Why do you do all this? It seems like a lot of work.
So we do it to keep it so that our seniors are not left alone in their homes. And they look forward to coming here because they have fun.
So here I am with Bob and Jim, and they're members of the men group that meet on Tuesdays. So they're going to tell us what the senior center meets to that. Bob?
I've been here with the center for over 10 years. I'm the treasurer of the group. It's a fantastic group. We have a great camaraderie. We get along very well. We communicate with each other. And we play cards and poker each week. But what you find is that your people here need to come here. It's very important as you get older to have something to do.
It took a while, but I finally came in and found it to be very enjoyable. The place is called Shoot the Breeze. The group actually does sit here and shoot the breeze, which is fun. You know, you learn about what these fellows have done in their lives and what their plans are, and talk about the families, and just a good place to come and have some camaraderie with people our own age.
Hi, I'm Liz, and it means the world to me. I've joined over a year ago, and this is like my extended family.
Hi, my name is Carol. I came to the senior center because you meet a lot of nice people, we socialize, and I really like it because it gets me out of the house. I have other things, but this is one of my special things, and I hate to lose it. Miss it.
Hi, my name is Susan Stevens, and I'm president of the Friday Co-Ed Dental Seniors Club. We try to divide our meetings up into being one meeting with a speaker and one meeting with an event. And I'd like to introduce the two vice presidents of the Denville Friday Co-Ed Senior Club. We have Carol DeLorenzi and we have Susanna Forrester.
And I like the fact that we always have a snack. And I like the fact that when you're sick or you don't feel well, people load it right away. And the guy is like sitting at your Branko. He says, how are you?
Okay, I'm Lucille. I belong to the Co-ed Club. I'm the secretary. We enjoy this club. We have so many friendships here. We met so many people. And the friendships even go into other times, other than the club. I do go out other times to guess. It's a good way to meet good people, have lasting friendship.
So there you have it. All you need is one small building with a large room and a kitchen. And that's all the senior citizens need to stay active and live happy. Thanks for watching. Bye.
At UNN, you are the news. Get involved by joining our weekly Field Messenger meetings. Visit unitednetwork.earth to learn more. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me.